How did you hear about Olympic Kitchens? How do we connect?
I learned about Olympic Kitchens through two of my favorite colleagues, and they spoke very highly of you, and they talked about your quality craftsmanship and your service. And so I reached out to you, and I have not been disappointed.
So our first project was the Riverdale project.
Yes.
And I'm going to call up some pictures here of what this kitchen looked like before. This was a rustic kitchen. It's a remarkably tight space.
Yes.
And you crammed so much in there, but it worked. It really did. Like, it worked well, and you had the design pretty much established from the beginning, a few tweaks, but talk to me about some of the challenges here, what the goals were for the project.
It was a doable but ambitious project for sure. And our clients, as you recall, had a long laundry list of their needs and their wants and their wishes. And so some of them included a breakfast nook, if you recall, a breakfast nook with a comfy banquette for their children.
And there was two kids, right?
Yes, two young kids. Yeah. So she was in love with the idea of having a banquette. That was a wish of hers. The second was the husband wanted a bar area, so for entertaining. So he wanted a coffee station with a bar area. And the wife wanted a peninsula. So we took down actually the wall in between the kitchen and the dining room. So she wanted a peninsula for entertaining. It was a challenge from the perspective of accomplishing and achieving everything on their wish list in that tiny space. And she also wanted to be open and airy and have this coastal feel. So we were very, very mindful and strategic on, of course, the layout and the floor plan, as well as all of the selections of materials that we chose just to achieve like this open and airy, expansive feeling.
And we can see the floor plan here. We can see that banquette over here.
That's right.
The key here, I think, was that nice, perfect oval table and setting back the cabinetry here to have a place to exit and enter. And then the peninsula was a nice way to get extra counter with a couple of seats on the back side there too.
We also added, which is not shown in any of the photos, but we added a little drop zone on the other side of the door where the banquette is. So on the other side of the door, the other side where the sink is, remember we had a little boot, we have cubbies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Remember that? So we had cubbies for the children's boots, as well as hooks for their backpacks and coats. Right. So that's kind of like that side of the kitchen is, the kids come out from the backyard, they drop their stuff in that little cubby, they hang out at the banquette area and that little seating area and have their snacks. So it's a really hard working space for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other layer. I mean, we even have two sinks in here.
Exactly. We have that coffee station and bar sink for the husband. And we were very strategic in where we placed it as well. And then you see the peninsula. So that way the husband can, when they're entertaining, he can pivot from the coffee station bar area over to the peninsula where they can place their snacks, etc., appetizers, food for when they're socializing. And then that leads into the dining room.
So yeah, just looking at some photos here. I mean, we have it all. We really do.
We do.
Were you challenged or, how did you approach that mindset wise?
I didn't have any reservations. It was about how are we going to make this work? You just basically go through your checklist and try to incorporate everything that you possibly can. And it was delightful, I'll say, when we were able to cross everything off. Like, we absolutely achieved everything that she had asked for. So I didn't have any reservations. I was determined to make it work. That's for sure. I was determined to make it work for them.
Yeah, I think that's key. Having the mindset of let's make it happen. Let's work through the challenges. And we did that through a few consultations as well. It was, we just kept going, and the clients were great too, right? They understood the process and were supportive. In terms of the style of the space, you mentioned it's a coastal.
She wanted light, bright, and airy, and she is drawn to kind of a coastal feel. Now, we didn't translate that literally, what we did was just use these beautiful colors, these watery blues, and the soft grays, and even in the flooring, we were very mindful of the tiles that we selected for the floor, as well as the color of the cabinetry, which is really soft gray. And I remember you and I really thinking through what colors should we use for the base cabinets, right? We knew we were going to do a two-tone, which is something I'll tell you that it's not something that I typically and often do. So we're really thoughtful in terms of selecting the colors for both the base and the uppers to make sure that they were going to be complementary with everything else.
The flexibility with us too is we can do any color. So we really can make samples and figure out what we wanted to do. And we chose some very kind of complementary tones. It's it's not like what you see typically where it's the second color is a bold contrast.
Exactly.
Right. This is a subtle contrast.
Exactly. And I remember really asking you, was like, I think I'd selected, just to be quite honest, I think I had a different color in my, that I had proposed. And then, you said, Enza, I think you should consider this. And it was bang on. I'm like, no problem. Absolutely. It totally worked. Right. Because I think I had chosen something that was even lighter. And you're like, let's do a little bit more contrast. And why I say this is because I'm not afraid to say, you know what, like I picked something and you had an idea that I should consider, because again, it talks to collaboration, partnership, working, we're in it together to ultimately create the best product, the best kitchen. And if there's an idea that you have that is better, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah. No, I really love that when you can contribute and collaborate. Some designers want to come in and set the stage, and I'm happy to play the role of, fulfilling and making things happen. But with you, it's definitely more enjoyable. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
The one other aspect to this design, which, for me, I sometimes don't see the picture, the final product, but it's the backsplash. It's such an important part to, I think, many kitchens. And I think this one, for me, was a surprise because I didn't picture it fully and how the marble all flows. And I'm sure laying it was challenging too.
I had proposed, I thought this would be the best solution for the client. A large format porcelain tile that resembled marble, that had beautiful veining. And the reason why I wanted that is to give her a marble look. I wanted the kitchen to have a feeling of expansiveness and just appear much larger than it actually is. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have the warmth. I wanted to have the feeling, the larger than life feeling. I wanted it to be subtle, practical for them. And so when the tiler was on site, we mapped out the layout of every single tile in this kitchen to ensure the veining flowed as we wanted it to. So this was not a random tile installation. It was 2 days actually in total of mapping every single tile out before it was installed.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So we went through all the boxes and mapped it out as we wanted to see it. And then we went back the next day to make sure, does this make sense? So it was a puzzle. Was
the tile guy grumbling the whole time?
No, absolutely not. You know what? That's the thing, because you hear stories about that. And he had the same level of precision and the same passion about installing it to enhance its beauty and its look. He was also coming up with suggestions too. So together we worked together and said, okay, this is the best way.
Nice. And these tiles were large format that were cut to size, or
nope.
They were
large. Yeah, they were large format. Yep. Porcelain.
Yeah. It's just gorgeous. I mean, it tied everything together, and talk about the coastal feel. I think that's a huge component to this kitchen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we liked that. There's another element, I don't know if you're going to get to it at all, but something that I think is really, really important in really enhancing and elevating the look of a kitchen is lighting. There's the hardware and then the lighting.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of layering of lighting more so. Here we have 4 fixtures in the space. You can see the 2 hanging lights over the peninsula, the light over the table, and then that little light kind of over the window
Yes,
over here, which again is kind of, we had about, just enough to fit the light. So,
yes,
and it creates a nice, interesting layer.
yes. We had to think about how we were going to handle that too. Remember, we were really um, thoughtful and very specific with the dimensions there. And that one actually, I have to tell you, made me sweat a bit.
Yeah.
We weren't dealing with many inches on that one, that's for sure.
No, for sure. And then you also have there's a top plate near the ceiling, which you have to sometimes cut around. So, but I think it's a really nice touch, and all the lighting kind of matches. You have is this a copper or brushed gold?
Yeah, it's an antique brass finish.
Antique brass.
Yeah.
What do you think about this brushed gold versus antique brass? We're seeing a lot of brushed gold fixtures, faucets, handles.
So I love mixing metals. I love the use of metals. I think that personally, I think you have to be very strategic in how you use all of your metals to tell a story and to make it feel not contrived and formulaic. You want everything to work harmoniously, but not matchy match. I think every metal can work lovely in the right setting and in the right, with the right placement. Antique brass is lovely. I would use it strategically. I would probably incorporate it with a lot of other elements, just so that it's interesting, it has depth. Sometimes I like to use very small pieces of like knobs on any of our furniture pieces. I'd like to sometimes explore using gold or brass. And we do have to be careful because the finish, the warmth varies from company to company, and you have to be really careful, and you have to make sure you know what you're getting, and you have to see the product, and you have to see how it relates to, the surface that you're putting it on, right? Because it does vary. The gold is not gold across the board, that's for sure.
It can go coppery, it can go really, really light and bright.
Exactly.
One thing that we're having a lot of success with a new product. I just want to show you here. It's the MTech Select Cabinet Pull. Now, this sounds like an advertisement, but it's not. I like this product. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Well, I'll just interrupt you and say we have them in our studio. We have a wardrobe at our entrance. And so we have these ones. We have these long handles in our studio. We ordered them and we had them installed, and they look fantastic.
Beautiful.
They look gorgeous. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, I love the combine the smooth and the knurled pull with the different finishes. So, I think it's people are attracted and always have been, and part of the reason they hire you and they use us, they want to personalize the space. They want to make it uniquely theirs. And I think this gives them, with the combination, the ability to have a very unique pull, black and gold or anything they want to combine. So I think we're going to see a lot more of those types of products that offer that customized.
I have a question for you, which is what's your take on lucite, the mix of lucite and a metal?
I mean, the lucite's great in that it gives a very light look to the handle and allows the cabinet finish to come through. So it's almost like the trend has been and still is no hardware. The pandemic has kind of accented it in the sense that, people don't want to touch a handle. Mind you still have to touch a cabinet, but it's the idea of everyone touching the same thing. So having no handles, you can open the cabinet differently. So I think from there, people look to have the hardware not impart a big, bold statement. So the lucite handles are almost like, it's like a ghost chair.
Right.
It's there, but it's kind of not, right? So I would say, though, a lot of clients are not picking those for an entire kitchen.
Exactly.
They're picking them for accent pieces, vanities, that sort of thing. And frankly, I don't think the collection of lucite handles is that rampant from our main suppliers. But I don't know about you, but I have been blown away by what's available on Etsy for
I
hardware.
know, that's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Blown
So
away.
you'll see stone with gold, or stone with brushed polish. It's stunning.
Yeah.
So stunning. I'm excited about I'm looking at gemstones, or I'm looking, you know what's exciting me too, are leather. I love leather.
Leather, nice.
Oh yeah, with metal. I just think that's gorgeous. Anything like that, just it's beautiful. But I am absolutely blown away by what I'm seeing on Etsy. I think the image of Etsy has changed, and just in terms of being this craftsy type platform, to now you're seeing some beautiful artisanal pieces being showcased and offered. It's totally elevated. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great platform for these very special, unique things, for sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these are smaller studios,
Yes.
where they would have to, in the past, link up with a Richelieu or a Hefela to sell their product. They're now in control directly to the public.
That's right.
So it allows them to develop a new design and it's immediately available. There's no red tape to go through. It's posted, it's done, you can order it. So I regularly refer people to Etsy now and Wayfair. If someone says, what type of hanging pendant should I use over my island? I send them a Wayfair. I send them a few Wayfair links. You push a button, you order it, it comes. Great return policy. I think really that's, I have clients entirely doing custom homes with Wayfair.
Wow.
Furniture, lighting, everything. And I've never seen that.
I guess that's the pandemic, right?
It is, right? It's the point and click and deliver. So that's kind of what people are looking at.
I don't know if we have a lot of fans with respect to that, but because designers will say we want to create something very custom, personalized, unique. But I can understand, I mean, the pandemic is changing the rules. So,
well, especially because, stores are closed.
Exactly.
You can't do the sourcing you used to. You can't take your client to a lighting showroom and pull it together. It's got to be done online. So, yeah.
I hope that I'm looking forward to the day where we can go back into the showrooms, where we can go to travel the world and go to the places that inspire us, that allow us to gather these ideas and see what's out there. That's something that we're all really kind of getting.
Are you looking, would that be like attending a trade show or something like that? Yeah.
So both a mix of personal and business. So I'm looking forward to going to High Point when we can. I love the Kips Bay Show House. I really want to go to anywhere in Europe. Like I'd like to go to Maison d'Auger or to the Fiera in Italy. That would be lovely. So there's a whole laundry list of places that I'd really like to go to. So it's hard.
Yeah, the Fiera in Milan is incredible. It's an incredible show.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a project you're working on now. I think you were saying it's a condo project.
There's a lovely clients that I've been working with for almost 10 years. They continue to invite me back. So I'm, always grateful for that opportunity.
Of course.
So the daughter bought a condo and she just acquired it. Again, it was delayed. So, because of the pandemic. So she moved in March. So we are going to help her with her condo. And so her kitchen is done. It is lovely. And so she's asking us to add some more elements in it. So we'll be doing the furnishings and the decorating and creating a home office for her. But one of the interesting things that we're going to be looking at is in these very small condos, there's not a lot of space for dining. And you know this, right? It's very, very tight.
How many square feet is the unit?
1 bedroom, single bathroom. The half bed is at the front.
Okay.
Right. So as soon as you walk in.
So kind of like a den.
Yeah, but it's basically, we can fit a desk there.
Right.
And so it's lovely. Like the bedroom is spacious. There's a lot of closet space. So but the kitchen is very lacks prep space, lacks storage. And so the client is asking us to build an island to see if we can. And if we build an island, we have to be really, really thoughtful about how deep it can be. The island is going to serve as prep, storage, and seating. And so it's going to be tight on one side, tight on the other side. because it's a galley kitchen.
Mhm.
So we're looking at that as an option. We're also looking at potentially a peninsula where the challenge is we have the electrical panel. So is placed exactly where we don't want it to be.
Oh, wow.
Impacts how we're going to do that. So the challenge is for this specific thing, as I talked about the island, is how do we give her more prep, more storage, an eating surface where she can have a couple of stools. So that will be her dining table. And it's going to be, I know it's going to work out. I know it's going to be fantastic. We're going to accomplish it. You're going to help me accomplish it. And we're going to add some beautiful lighting. And it's gonna work, but it's gonna require some, again, it's gonna be a game of inches in this case, for sure.
For sure. Yeah,
For sure.
I find the islands that have maximum storage and a seating area typically are 3 feet deep, 38 inches, 30. We may not be able to fit that. So what happens is the overhang should always be about 12 to 14 inches. We might have to make the cabinets 14, 16 inches deep, a little less deep.
Drawings here. So according to this, I don't know, I'm not sure. We have the island right now is definitely not that. So we're going to do another round of drawings to, I think we may have to do the peninsula. So, but we'll look to see what we can achieve. That's for sure. In the living area, we'll do a built-in media cabinet, again, to maximize the seating area, because we just want to mount the TV on the wall. We'll put some seating underneath in terms of stools. We'll do 2 chairs on the side, because you have to you cannot, again, it's like 6 inches matters, 9 inches matters in when you're dealing with these small condos. So
no question. And those media units are, technology has gotten a lot smaller. So those media units can be made really kind of shallow, which is great. So that saves space. So you got the drawings. Walk me through your process in terms of what would be the next steps for you and the clients.
It always starts with the initial meeting that we have with the client first, to gather all of the information from our client in terms of their lifestyle, their needs, their wants, their design aesthetic, how they use the space, their style preferences. But it's really, this is where a lot of the hard work goes in. The initial meeting is to all of the information gathering, the discovery of, so once you have that, we book actually what we call as a trade day, as you know, which is where we have all of our respective trades come in and we do our site measure. We have all the right folks on the teams come in, take photos, again, discuss the design ideas, the functional requirements that we need to cover off that to address our clients' needs.
Right.
Then we go away and we do the planning, and we start to do all of this space planning, as I just showed you, and do the drawings. So once we have the drawings, we're still plugging away at all of the other work that is required to complete the design concept presentation that we then show the client. That means working with you to say, okay, Louie, this is the as-is, here are the as-is measurements, or the as, and here's what we're thinking. What are your thoughts? Can we do this? What can't we do? What can we do? How do we optimize this? And the Riverdale, you had some brilliant ideas about how we can optimize the space, even from the banquette. Remember, we added that extra storage under the banquette on both sides, by the door and under the table, so she can access it from both ways, which was also wonderful. It was great. So we sit down and we say, okay, does this make sense? And then once we have a plan that we feel really, really super confident in, we present it to our client. And we walk them through the entire design concept, and we explain to them why we've made the decisions we've made for every single thing that we've done. We get their approval, we get their feedback and approval. And what I find is, because we've done all of the work up front, by the time we present to the client, we're feeling so great about and so sure and confident that we've addressed every single element. The client says yes, they understand. They're like, yes, this makes sense. We understand. And so let's go.
I totally agree with you. I think the more effort and time you put into the initial planning, it makes the job go smoother.
It does.
You usually have some hiccups along the way, second guesses from clients or rethinking certain things, and that's part of it. But the key is getting the foundation 90% set. If
Mhm.
you have a 20% foundation, everything's very loose, the design process becomes, I feel, more tiring for the client. And that's not something I want. I want the process to be easy.
Exactly. And the way I look at it too is our clients are paying us to do what we do. And I feel comfortable knowing that I'm delivering the best value to my clients. I'm talking from a monetary perspective, as obviously as well as quality work perspective.
Let's talk about budget, because I think that's a huge component. Obviously, clients want to know what things cost. So, using this condo project as an example, you have some drawings, you're going to work on some concepts. When do you think the right time is to price a job? Right in the beginning, to give the client a good rough sense of what's happening, or more so after we've kind of developed the design a bit more?
We have to educate clients on what things cost or how much they can expect to spend. So, because if you were to ask the client, what is your budget? And then ask them also, go through what their laundry list of needs is, they don't always match up. Sometimes they do if a client has been through this before, but it's not always the case. So at our first meeting, when we go through our clients' wish lists and needs and wants and the scope of work, we put rough for where we can. And I'm very comfortable in telling a client, I don't have a sense of this number, and therefore I don't want to give you a number, because that would be, I don't think that would do anybody any good if I did that. So we go through and we go line by line. We can expect this to cost X, Y, Z, and we add it all up. And, they're kind of like sweating throughout the process, because they see the sheets where, we keep flipping over and putting numbers against it. And then we add it up and they'll be like, okay. And they can digest it and they can sit with it. So that's for the numbers that we can put numbers to. And, that gives them a sense. And then for things like the drawings, like this peninsula or island, that one, in the case of the condo, I said, I don't know the answer. I don't have a sense yet. So when we, at the right stage, which is coming up, when you and I get together and go through the drawings, that's when we can start to put some numbers against it. So in terms of the cost for the construction and the cabinetry and so forth, we will gather that while we're doing our work. You and I will get together, we will put some numbers against it, and it will be ready for when we present to the client.
And then that gives them an opportunity to say, let's see where we can shave, or what can we do different. And that obviously it's best to have those conversations up front, so we can kind of steer the direction and figure out where we're going. And I think that also, I don't like to set, I don't like unmet expectations, right?
Exactly.
We have so many people who come to us. Contractors are the biggest culprits of this. They send us a package of drawings. Let's say it's a custom home. Price this. No details, nothing. No elevations, a floor plan only. And in those cases with these contractors, we kind of set it up where it's like, we're pricing a shop painted shaker door. Just so you know, that's what it is. As a baseline, we have to choose something. But the challenge I find often is you put numbers to it, and they're preliminary, you highlight it as such, but you set the expectation of a cost, and then a client comes in and it's like, whoa, there is way more wishes on the list.
That's right.
And I accounted for, and it becomes difficult. And frankly, I find it, hate to say it, but I find it lazy. I really do.
I agree. And I don't think it doesn't help anybody I think you have to do the hard work and really specify what is it that you're asking me to quote, because I think it's also is inefficient, because you're spending the energy quoting something, you don't have all the details, you have to make all of the assumptions, which requires time and effort on your part. then you send it, then you're not, the expectation is different. So then you have to go back. So what is the point?
Yeah.
I also wanted to add one question too, is, you know, your client, like if you're, each project is different, and you will know that there's a particular client, like in this condo situation, where we are going to be very realistic about what we're going to accomplish and how much we think we can spend, or putting into a condo. Whereas there's another kitchen that's coming up, which we talked about, which has been delayed and hold for the second time because of COVID. But I'm hoping, that at some point we'll be able to help one of our former clients again with her kitchen, because I know she's eager to do that. But that's going to be a different set of expectations, and a different, different materials used, for example, so you really have to know your client as well. We have to be realistic with the client too. And if they have an unrealistic expectation, our job is to educate them and say, I understand you would like this, but here's really what you're talking about. If you want to do this, if this is what you want, it looks like this and not this. Are you open to that? Are you prepared to do that? And if not, well, let's have another conversation about where we're going to go with this.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any type of projects that, aesthetic wise more so, that you wouldn't take on?
I always consider myself a chameleon. I definitely have a design aesthetic, which is classic contemporary with a little edge. It's very, like, I love the soft, ethereal, but it's definitely rooted in the classicism of a contemporary nature.
It's on display behind you.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, this is the stuff that I love, that gets me excited. Right? That is definitely my design aesthetic.
Awesome. Well, listen, Enza, it was amazing speaking to you. Tell me where people can find you. Where can they find you? I know you have a house page, Fig Interiors. Where else can they find you?
So my website is figinteriors.ca. I'm on Instagram with Fig Interiors, Facebook and Twitter, as well as LinkedIn. So I'd love for you to check out my Instagram and my website. That would be great.
Awesome, Enza. Great. Always great working with you. Always great talking to you. We will speak again on the condo project. And until then, be well.
All right. You too. Thanks, Louie. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.